one for you here. I get a lot of questions about sinking carbs on my bike and the tool in particular, you know, how I made it, what I used, stuff like that. I had some footage from the previous video that I didn't really include. It didn't end up fitting in, but it was good information, and I figured I'd make a quick video to maybe help you guys out just in making your own. And I'll also point out a few little things on the bike itself that I get questions about a lot. Now, depending on your bike, some of this may or may not pertain to you, but as far as sinking the carbs go, that's pretty much universal. There are fancier tools out there. There is more precise ways to do this, but for quick and dirty, and especially cheap, I like to do it this way. Well, I don't know if I ever went into crazy depth on this, maybe in the original video for sinking the carbs and stuff like that, but I decided it was about time to change that water out. It was getting pretty nasty, so I figured I'd just bring you guys in real quick and show you what I did. Originally, these things were, I think, little Gatorade bottles or something like that. Really, just anything that's clear will work just fine with a lid that you can drill into. This is the most important part, drilling holes. Just 2 holes in each cap, and what I did in my case is just drilled them a little undersized for the tubing that I'm using, and that way it creates its own seal. I don't have to worry about trying to seal it up or silicone it or do anything crazy like that. And that's it. I don't run a ton of water in these things. You can see where my water level's at. I usually just go to, you know, the top zip tie or the bottom zip tie there, and you know, that way I don't run the chance of overfilling one of these and sucking it up into the carb. That's probably the most important part about it. Just don't run too much water or whatever you use. This middle hose you want all the way down at the bottom. Top hoses just sit right inside the cap. And the big thing about these, if I can get that in there, drill them undersized so they all seal up. There we go. The trick with these is that all you're doing is tuning pressure differential. Now that may sound crazy, tuning pressure differential, but if you think about it, you're hooking these up to 2 individual cylinders, and between those 2 cylinders, they each have a certain amount of vacuum depending on how they're tuned. And so if one's running a little stronger than the other, it may have a little bit higher vacuum signal, which is why you need to balance those 2 carbs. And you can see the effect of that if I have nothing on that hose and vacuum on this one. You can see that level rises. Now, the opposite, this one rises. And all you're trying to do is balance that pressure differential, because in this sealed container, even though they both are seeing vacuum, if one vacuum is higher than the other, it'll cause that water to transfer over to the other side to try and equal itself. And so when you're dialing these things in, you want to get it as close as you can. It's never going to be exactly precise because you're tuning in a dynamic environment. This engine isn't designed to just sit at a steady RPM, so every little tiny movement of the throttle changes the characteristics of the setup. Just want to go and get them real close to each other so one's not just screaming up and the other one's screaming down. And as long as you can get them to where they stay pretty steady, that's all you're shooting for. So I hope that helped. If you guys are making these yourself, you can make them out of pretty much anything. I've seen guys use pickle jars or, you know, just any clear plastic bottle with a lid big enough to drill 2 holes in it. Really anything will work as long as it will seal. That's the big thing. You want these sealed up. Alright, so we'll jump over to the bike real quick and we'll take a look at some of the kind of important things to look for. Like I said, this may differ on your bike. So in my example, I'm using my 88 Virago. All the Viragos are going to be real similar, but if you have something else, you know, this part of it may not apply to you. But like I said before, the tool itself definitely will. So probably the most common question I get asked is, where do you hook this thing up? Now on my bike in particular, you can see right here, there's this little vacuum line, and it runs up and along, and it connects to, you guessed it, another couple vacuum lines. This one in particular goes to another boot just like this on the other carb. You want to take both of these off and just set them to the side, and then you hook your tool up here. Now I know it's kind of hard to see here, and I have covered this in other videos, but this little hole right back here, you can see it just faintly, is where your idle mixture screw is. On my Yamaha in particular, each carb is going to have this. Your carbs may differ from mine, so that may be plugged off with a little plug, or you may not have adjustability there. Now when you're actually adjusting the balance of the carb, this little guy right here is what you want to be turning. It's the mechanism between the two throttles, and that adjusts the offset of the two. Take it slow, very small increments when you're turning it, and you should find it's pretty easy to get those carbs synced up quick. Now, a few things you want to keep in mind when you're tuning your bike in. You want to make sure the thing is good and up to temp. So if it's running well enough to ride, it's a good idea to go take it around the block a couple times, get the thing good and warm, and make sure it's up to temp. You don't want to tune on a cold bike because those settings may not be true once the bikes come up fully to temp. The other thing is when you're balancing the carbs, you want to come up off idle. You want to be, I believe they recommend somewhere around 3,000 RPM on this bike in particular. Yours may vary again, but I know usually when I do mine, I try and be somewhere around like 2,000 to 2,500, just because that way I'm not sitting here just screaming the thing. But anyway, I hope that helps you guys out. I hope there's enough info in there, and if you do have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment down below. I usually try and get to everybody's questions, and if I can answer it, I will, and if I can't, hopefully somebody else in the comments will see your question and be able to answer it as well. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Don't forget to like the video, consider subscribing to the channel. Every little bit helps. I definitely appreciate it. And yeah, hope this quick little video was helpful. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.